It's time to take a look at what's happening around Wyoming. I'm Wendy Corr, bringing you headlines from the Cowboy State Daily newsroom for Monday, April 22nd. More than 200 people filled the Highland Park Community Church in Casper Saturday to say a final goodbye to 14-year-old Robert "Bobby" Maher Jr., who died defending his girlfriend from a pair of teens harassing her and, according to court testimony, looking for a fight. Cowboy State Daily's Dale Killingbeck said Casper's First Christian Church pastor Brian Elliott, who presided over the service, preached a message of mourning, memory, and forgiveness.
The pastor that led the service really encouraged the people to remember the life of Bobby, but also to think about forgiveness as part of this process. And he said that was important because if we don't, the evil that was perpetrated is going to overcome us all.
Maher was laid to rest in Casper's Highland Park Cemetery. Two 15-year-old Casper area boys face murder charges as adults for allegedly stabbing him to death. Traffic delays are expected along the four-lane Interstate 80 in Rock Springs when Wyoming begins pumping cement into a more than 100-year-old coal mine under the highway before it caves in. Cowboy State Daily's Pat Mayo says the $10.5 million project is one of the largest ever for the Wyoming Department of Environmental Quality, but they want to fill the underground caverns and voids with concrete to prevent the interstate from sinking into the cavernous depths.
What happens is these mines collapse in time. They fill up with water and they just implode, and that'll be their biggest project. One of their biggest projects ever is to fix that. And there's not that they're seeing anything wrong right now, but they're doing it as a preventive measure.
The Wyoming Department of Environmental Quality estimates 30,000 cubic yards of filler is needed. That's the equivalent of 3 million square feet at 3 inches of depth. Work could begin within the next few weeks. The Wyoming Republican Party censured Governor Mark Gordon at its state convention on Saturday. The censure was drafted in the party's resolution committee and failed to meet the 75-person threshold needed to open the topic for discussion, indicating that if the censure had gone to a vote, it likely would have passed by a large majority. Cowboy State Daily's Leah Wolfson said Gordon is the first state governor to be censured by a Republican party since the former Arizona governor was censored by his Republican Party in 2021.
With Gordon, the relationship between the party has been deteriorating over the past year or so. It started after comments he made at Harvard University saying he wants to make to reduce Wyoming's carbon output in response to climate change. And then things got real bad after he made his vetoes. So this is just kind of another step in that direction.
A spokesperson for the governor said the party's censure is concerning and that the governor stands behind his vetoes of what he calls flawed legislation. While many praised former President Ronald Reagan for backing the program Israel used to defend itself against Iran, it was actually Wyoming U.S. Senator Malcolm Wallop who started pushing Star Wars into existence before Reagan was even in office. Cowboy State Daily's Claire McFarland said Wallop was an early leader of the Strategic Defense Initiative, the program to build weapons that could intercept and destroy ballistic missiles before they reached their targets.
It probably does owe its existence to Reagan's backing. There was a Wyoming rancher and senator who was just goading the president and who, in fact, while Reagan was still campaigning in 1980, Senator Malcolm Wallop had already introduced these amendments to the defense budget to order contractors to build these systems. So he was already on it while Reagan was still kind of complaining about Jimmy Carter.
Wallop also introduced the first of several amendments to the Defense Authorization Bill in 1980, which led to a provision of law directing the U.S. Secretary of Defense to build space laser weapons. And a Cody tow truck driver was mobilized in the early hours of Thursday morning to rescue a family trying to get to Yellowstone National Park. Zach Beardall got a call from the Wyoming Highway Patrol about a family having to leave their rented Jeep behind after driving more than 4 miles up a snow-packed road toward Cook City, Montana on the way to Yellowstone. Cowboy State Daily's Ellen Fike said the family was stuck for nearly 6 hours before they were able to get a signal out to law enforcement.
But they drove past road closed signs and apparently did not see them and got themselves stuck. Zach Beardall said that it was kind of a treacherous road. He said he got stuck himself on the way up there, and it was a little bit of a headache to get the Jeep down the road, but they did it. Everybody was safe, and the family was on their way to finish out the rest of their Western trip.
And that's today's news. Get your free digital subscription to Wyoming's only statewide newspaper by hitting the subscribe button on cowboystatedaily.com. I'm Wendy Corr for Cowboy State Daily.